Hi, I'm with Pete Serace in Rare Gallery, and as I've posted a couple times, this is my favorite gallery in all of Chelsea. I just went to 100 or so art shows, and it's still one of my favorite shows. So he's going to actually talk about the work, which is amazing. He's friendly too. Can you imagine?
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe in New York City. So you go ahead.
Sure. The show in this room, this is our main space.
Okay.
And it's by Francesco, the works is by Francesco Longanecker. He's born in Michigan, but he's a Brooklyn-based artist who's lived here a while. And how Francesco works in making these large-scale oil paintings on canvas is he's inspired by photographs of landscapes that he finds on postcards. He's also gone to flea markets and picked up stereoscopic slides of national parks from the old slides from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they provide the inspiration for the landscape-based abstractions you see.
Mm-hmm.
He's also very influenced by the old masters of abstract expressionism.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at any of the work, you can see traces or elements of Hans Hofmann, Joan Mitchell, I'd say de Kooning,
Mm-hmm.
Diebenkorn.
These are oils.
These are all oils.
I could smell it when I walked in.
Yeah, I mean, he uses, to get some of the opacities and translucencies, he'll use varnishes and mediums that he'll mix with the oil if he wants to drip it, or you see areas of dripping, or this kind of slathering, this translucent slathering. So he'll mix things with the oil, but they're basically oil on canvas.
Okay, great.
So he doesn't do any underdrawing. He just really starts to paint. Graffiti is also an influence on him as well. So I think what connects him to art history is the ab-exes, but he brings it forward into a contemporary context by the influence of graffiti. He's always been fascinated when he sees a wall that's been partially painted over, but the graffiti still shows through, or it hasn't been well painted over, so you'll see graffiti peeking out from the overlay. Kind
of the layering of graffiti over graffiti over graffiti type.
Right.
Okay.
So that what you'll get as a result of his paintings is that same feeling of sort of a juxtaposition of background and foreground, where the background pops out into the foreground, and the foreground might recede into the background depending on how you look at it, or if you blink or look a certain way.
Right.
So he plays with spatial relationships through that relationship with graffiti and the eradication of it.
Yeah, interesting. I see that. It's kind of a landscape in the background, but then there's these floating elements that are kind of graffiti.
I mean, if you look at the paintings, some are a little really go into the abstract more than others. This one, Landing, I think really, even though there's representational elements you may be able to pick out or imply from the painting, some people see different things. I think it really hits into the abstract the most. And I feel it has a little bit of early Gorky in it, too, interestingly. And then if you look at the one on the back wall here, which is the largest one, I think it's called Field, you see things that may resemble trees, riverbeds, but I mean, it's called Field of all things, and I see water in it. So they get transformed. They may not, some may hew closely to the original source, others may just go into somewhere else entirely.
Oh yeah, what are the titles to give me an idea?
Let me go to the...
Okay.
This one's Canopy.
Oh, I see kind of a canopy.
So the one on the back wall is called Field.
Okay.
That's the largest one in the show.
And is that backspace open all the time? Because sometimes
the artist in the main gallery will use it. In this case, we have Jeff Lutonski's work, which you may want to...
Yeah, do you want to take a look at that real quick? I like how he decided to do the walls.
Well, what Jeff was trying to do was give the impression of being inside of an RV.
Right.
So he bought the panel new from Home Depot, the carpet as well, and then there was a little party in here when the show was being hung, so it would look as the party did.
And he left a beer can from the party.
Yeah, that was from the opening, so we left that there.
Oh yeah.
There's a few things here that.
So it's lived in.
Yeah, we wanted to look lived in without. We didn't want it to be an installation per se. In other words, we didn't want the room to overtake the work. So he kept it toned down, and so the focus could be on the work.
Great.
But he wanted to create an environment in which to show the work that
Interesting.
was appropriate to the work. These are all 30-somethings and 20-somethings, basically partying. You know, old enough to really to be grown up, but sort of getting their last licks in and engaging in borderline irresponsible behavior, but having a lot of fun doing it. There's a somewhat southern setting to the work, and Jeff is
Where's he from?
He's from born in Oklahoma, but the family is in Texas, and he lives here.
This blog is based out of Jacksonville, so I don't know if that means anything.
I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think they're made with.
They look like they're acrylic from here.
They're magic marker.
Oh, really? Oh, does he use only magic marker?
Only magic marker.
Wow.
It's an archival magic marker. I think it's called Prismacolor markers, but they're magic markers.
That's a lot of work.
What I find amazing is watercolor is hard enough to use because it's hard with the blending and the bleeding.
Yeah, it does look kind of like watercolor.
This with magic marker much harder to blend, and yet he gets the feeling that they're either gouaches or watercolors. I find it extraordinary technically that he's able to prevent them from muddying, and he gives the impression of blending, where a lot of it's very subtle juxtapositions.
Or to do that whole band of blue there would take you about 3 days maybe to get it that blue.
Yeah, because there's also a lot of absorption.
Right.
So he's going over, if you look at this one on the back wall, I think this is a tour de force.
Yeah, that one's
I mean, to prevent it from becoming muddy and to get this gorgeous effect of blending with a difficult medium.
Does he coat them after he's done with them?
No.
No? So it's archival just by its root, by its nature?
Well, Prismacolor is what artists use when they use magic marker.
Okay.
I've just never seen it used in this way.
Interesting.
It's painting with magic markers as opposed to marking with magic markers or drawing with magic markers.
Is that on panel or is
it's on paper?
On paper. Interesting.
The name of his show is Motley Cruz.
Motley Cruz. I saw the font, which is interesting. It's like an old English font.
Yeah, he had to do a little research to get that.
Some sort of gang member would have that on his.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a little bit of a play on words, and
yeah, right. So the
bands.
cruise on the riverboat.
Yeah.
Now, did he take these all from from a trip on a riverboat?
No, actually, these are off the internet. He surfed the internet.
Oh, really?
This is very reminiscent of part of his growing up.
He must have grown up in a water town or something.
Well,
on the coast or
he
something.
grew up in Oklahoma and then in Texas.
He must have big lakes. What's this one? Yeah,
this one is
what's the
called
story behind that?
Cherry Bomb.
Huh.
I think
It
it's.
sounds like possibly some stripper or something.
I don't know. I think she's. I think it's just a person at a party. She
Oh,
has a
really?
mask on, and
Yeah, it must have been like a.
she could be sitting in an RV or a pool room or a bar.
Right.
But the flesh tones that he again, I'm fascinated by.
It seems like he draws from freehand and he doesn't use an opaque projector because of the.
No, it's freehand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the shape of the face. You
Yeah.
could tell if he traced it.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
all freehand,
interesting.
and there's no underdraw, because you would see there was a little bit on this patterning, but generally there's no underdrawing. It's all freehand. But for that pattern, you use a little pencil. And that was a very complex.
That happened.
This all happened before the opening.
Oh, before the opening.
Yeah, there was a little party back here to get it ready. The opening was a much cleaner affair, actually.
There you go. That's a rare gallery.
Thank you.
Wow, Pete.
Pete.
Thank you so much.
pleasure.
Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.